Try a little something here at Bay Cities Crimewatch. I apologize for my voice. I've been sick for a couple days. And I don't think you want to see my ugly face at the moment. I probably put it out there too much. But especially the last few days. I've had 103-degree fever. But regardless, I think it's important to talk. So some of you may have seen over the last couple months, but especially last night, a lot of this traffic online back and forth about the mysterious white van. The white van that drops off kids, the kids that claim that they're fundraising for sports, the kids that claim they're fundraising for sports from San Pedro, the kids that claim they're fundraising for a college program or an after-school at-risk youth, blah, blah, blah. So I've been tracking these guys for a couple months with help from a lot of you, little tips here and there, parts of license plates, descriptions of different vans, of different drivers. I've reached out to law enforcement where appropriate when I thought that it wasn't just a waste of their time. And last night it all sort of came to fruition, which is a couple different people starting in the middle afternoon said, hey, I saw the white van on Gaffey at McDonald's. Or I saw the white van on 2nd and Bandini. Or I saw the white van near Peck Park, or I saw the van by the Chevron or by the Target, etc. And I quickly realized that it was our sort of white dragon. We've been trying to figure out where this van comes from, what the deal is. Many times, myself and other citizens have confronted these kids, and they're kids, so we're not going to be rude to them or intimidate them, but we want to get information as to who's putting them up to this, why they're being told to say they're from San Pedro sports when they're not. So here's sort of the broad strokes. And I'm actually going to switch off of this because this is going to give me a cardiac arrest dealing with this. So I just want to be a little more tranquil, and I bet you guys will too. So we're tracking this van yesterday. And the van is being evasive. It's, making quick turns, it's turning against a light, etc., because it knows it's in a suspicious posture. It knows that people are apparently following it. So eventually I got a couple of really great citizens, friends of mine, who stopped the driver and asked him what was going on, or stopped the kids who knocked on their door and asked them what was going on. So long story short, there were at least 8 different kids in this van. Most of them, by their own admission, age anywhere from 14 to 17 years old. Keep in mind that any kid under 18 needs to have a work permit specifically to work, and there are still other guidelines for it not to be illegal child labor. There was one kid who, according to one person, self-identified as 8 years old, but then when questioned about that said, oh, I'm a teenager. He doesn't look it, and I'm not going to share his picture because that's not what we're about. So I get a tip that they're on a certain street in the Taper area, and I hightailed over there. I had 103-degree fever, but I didn't care. I care about you. I care about your money. I care about our safety. So I stopped a couple of the kids, and I just leveled with them. Real sympathetic, real honest. And I said, guys, what are you telling people when you knock on their doors? Who are you telling them, where are you telling them that you go to school? And I got different answers from all the kids. One said he goes to Cabrillo something high school. One kid said he goes to Long Beach Poly High School. One kid said he goes to Crenshaw High. Another kid said that he went to Will Rogers Middle School. And this is all kids I'm questioning separately. So then those same kids, though, told other people different schools they attend, including one kid who told one of the neighbors he played sports at San Pedro High School, and they gave him $10. So I said, well, guys, you can't say that you're from a school that you're not. Why are you saying that? Well, because we think people will be more willing to give us money if we say we're from San Pedro. And I said, guys, listen, I know you're good kids. You're out here working. You're out here hustling. But you can't say you're from San Pedro if you're not. You can't say you're fundraising for the school if you're not. That's called larceny by trick, and it's actually illegal. You can't do it. Who's telling you to do this? Well, we have a boss. Well, who's your boss? Well, he drives around and he drops us off in the van, and then he'll pick us up at night in the van. Well, I'm confused. I don't know much about what kids are allowed to do with work, but wouldn't it be easier if you guys could say get a job at Cold Stone and make, $10 or $15 or whatever it is an hour? How much do you guys make? Well, it just depends on how much we sell, but then on Saturdays we get $6 for every discount card that we sell. Well, that doesn't make much sense. That's not minimum wage laws. So I figure out who this company. Well, I don't want to skip ahead. So I say, listen, what are you guys raising money for? One kid was raising money for Crenshaw football, he says. One kid was raising money for Long Beach soccer. Another kid said he was selling subscriptions to the LA Times, not to me, but to another person. Well, to me, he says he wants to do swimming at what was it? I think the Cabrillo school or something. No, basketball at the Cabrillo high school. Well, shit. He's the person who told another tipster of mine, and it's verified by photos, that he was fundraising for Will Rogers Middle School in Gardena to start a homeless feeding program for homeless adults at his school, and that it was in Gardena. Well, that middle school is in Lawndale. Close enough. I know that they're bordering towns, but that's a little fishy. And that's not something that would ever be fundraised for. That it's ridiculous you would have homeless people in a middle school. So, in any event, they're telling different things to different people depending on how they think they can finesse it to get money. They're savvy. So I said, I want your boss. I get your boss here. I don't care where he is. He's driving around somewhere in his white van. I want him. So they call him. And meanwhile, the neighbor comes out and says, which one of you kids said that you were from San Pedro? A kid raised his hand. Well, where are you really from? Well, I'm from Cabrillo High School. Well, we want our $10 back. More power to him. The kid gives the money back and says, well, I'm sorry, sir. This is the first time I've ever said that I'm from San Pedro. Sure, you guys have been doing this since at least the beginning of the summer. I doubt it's the very first time in all of your travels in San Pedro that you claimed to be from San Pedro and weren't. These kids use John Bobich's name and drop his name. They have learned some of the other coaches' names, Dom Costas, some of the other guys, and they say, oh, that's our coach, or etc. They don't have San Pedro school IDs. They don't have San Pedro uniforms. Some of them don't even know what the hell the mascot is. They're not San Pedro kids. So the guy comes in the white van, and I sort of read him the riot act. He's professional, so I tone it down a little bit. And he says, well, this is an after-school program. We're keeping kids off the street. This is a good thing. And I said, well, yeah, but you're breaking a ton of child labor laws, buddy. Number one, they're not making minimum wage. Oh, no, they make a lot more than minimum wage. Trust me. And I said, well, I talked to them, and I know that they don't because they told me what they make. And I said, besides the fact, California law says they have to be done working by 7 o'clock. And right now, it's well after 8:30. And it's been dark since about 7:30. You got kids, some of whom are 14 or younger, let's be honest, who are walking around alone in darkened neighborhoods. Some of them don't even have streetlights in San Pedro. Specifically in one neighborhood where there was a gang shooting within the last 2 months, where there are daytime home burglaries, where there was just 2 weeks ago, there was a kid in a car who flashed another firearm. All kind of neighbors on edge, rightfully so. People arming themselves. Why in the hell are you sending these kids out in the dark? Why are you sending them out after what is legally permitted by the state of California? Why are you not paying them what would be considered minimum wage? Oh, well, they're independent contractors and we have permission slips from their parents and it's really a good deal for everyone. I said, what school are you affiliated with? They've given me a ton of different schools and a ton of different fundraisers. One of them even said LA Times. Well, LA Times doesn't do fundraising. I said, well, I'm hearing sports. I'm hearing, a homeless feeding, which, by the way, homeless kids get fed by LA Unified. That doesn't make sense. They were saying homeless adults to be fed at their school, to be paid for by donations collected by the kids. No. So he pantomimed a little and said, oh, guys, you can't lie. You got to be honest. What did I tell you about integrity? And he's doing the whole thing. So long story short, I was pretty clear with him about what San Pedro will and won't accept, about what people will and won't accept on their doorsteps and their shopping centers, etc. We left it on civil terms, but I'm very sketched out by the legality, or at least the morality of the integrity of what's going on with these fundraisers. Here's the real quick points you need to know. And by the way, LAPD was called, not by me, but they were called and they arrived, and I spoke to them for quite a while. I love our men and women in blue. I love LAPD. I love Sheriff's Department. The officers that responded were completely professional. They get it. They took down pertinent information, and I'll leave it at that. I'm not going to let this slide, and the powers that be won't let it slide either. So the guy takes off before the cops get there, by the way. So here are the things we need to know. If a kid's fundraising from San Pedro High School, as far as what I've been told, from now on, whether they do it online, which I think is a smart idea, or whether they're wearing a uniform or school ID, that's a verifiable way to know whether or not it's legitimate. We'll also share legitimate fundraisers on Bay Cities Crimewatch because we want kids to fundraise for sports, etc. I was a 3-sport varsity athlete in high school. It taught me all kinds of life lessons about determination and perseverance and teamwork and learning to accept disappointment and learning to, frankly, accept success with graciousness. So I fully support school athletics. Here's the deal. The company, and I'm not going to name them because I'm not even going to try to slander them. They'll be dealt with legally. The company that is sending these kids out is hiring these kids, some as young as 14, who self-identified as young as 14, and one who, I'm sorry, but was probably about 8 and self-identified as 8 to somebody before he caught himself. They're employing kids as young as 14 as, quote, independent contractors, a.k.a., quote, little merchants. That is absolutely sickening. Little merchants. They go door to door. They hassle people in shopping centers. They're taught to hustle. They're taught to say whatever. And listen, I get salesmanship. I work in entertainment. I know fucking salesmanship all day long. You take a piece of coal and say it's a diamond. They're taught to hustle. Well, how do they do that? Well, they say that they play sports for San Pedro. It's a lie. And as soon as they do that, it's illegal. Larceny by trick. Look it up. So when I go to this company's website, which is ridiculous, by the way, it was probably made in the 90s, or at least by somebody whose skills haven't advanced since the 90s. When I go to this company's website, it says, we are not affiliated with any schools, churches, etc. Well, shit, then why are all these kids saying that they're fundraising for San Pedro football, for San Pedro basketball, for San Pedro baseball? One of them said San Pedro cheerleading. And they've done it to me, and they've done it in a video. So, meanwhile, this is a lot of times even out of season. Well, shit, why are you fundraising for a sport when school's not even in session? They don't have legitimate answers. The company says they're not affiliated with sports. Why do the kids say that they're fundraising for sports? They say they're fundraising for sports because they want to manipulate the situation and they want to prey on our sensitivities. Oh, gosh, I played basketball in high school. I'll give him $10. Yeah, he seems like a good kid, etc. All of it is predicated on a lie. I'll tell you how it really works. They either sell you one of these hocus pocus discount cards, which are horseshit. Whether they work or not, they're horseshit. I'm sorry, fuck off with that discount card. Or they just say, oh, well, if you don't want the card, you can just still donate or blah, blah, blah. Well, they take $10. They take $20. Well, the kid and the adult splits the money. And guess what? They tell you that it's for a school program, for a school fundraiser. The money doesn't go to the school. The money goes to the adult. And the adult divvies up as much money as he wants to the kids. So you give them $20. Some guy in a white Ford Econoline van, 16-passenger van, gets $20, tax-free. And he decides how much the kid gets, $6 or whatever, and how much he keeps. He doesn't have to report that to anyone. He doesn't have to report to the IRS or the government or whatever. So say there's 8 kids in a van. Say that they're out for 3 hours a night. That's 24 man hours, 24 kid hours. Say that they each make, $20 an hour. Okay? They make $20 an hour, which is slow. I've heard that they make $60 to $100 an hour each. Say that they make $20 an hour. Each kid's making $60 for the night. Then you got 8 kids. So you got 6 by 80. 8 by 60. 8 And, well, shit, that's $480. And I've been out of school for a while, so I apologize. $480, right? So there's $480 that this guy made in basically 3 hours of work. I think most people wouldn't mind making $480 in a day. Some of us make more, some of us make less, but shit. You work 6 days a week, which these people do. That's a pretty good daily wage, tax-free, even if you have to divvy some of it up. So I'm pretty confused about how it is this scam works out for the citizens. How does it work for us? Oh, we get a discount card. It worked great, blah, blah, blah. You're giving money to somebody tax-free. It's not going to a school. It's going to an adult. It's going to an adult who's driving into our community. And don't take this the wrong way. They're just geographic locations. So leave your hang-ups at the door. They're driving in from Inglewood. They're driving in from South Central LA. They're driving in from Gardena. They're driving in from Lawndale. They're driving in from Boyle Heights, a bunch of other places, Lincoln Heights. So why aren't they fundraising there? Well, I guess it's because they think that we're a bunch of idiot dupes. Are we a bunch of idiot dupes? These kids are not fundraising for sports. They're not fundraising for schools. They're fundraising for themselves at the behest of an adult who keeps the majority of the money tax-free. I love people that want to be charitable, but do it in the right way. Give to organizations that you trust, that are verifiable. Give directly to schools. Call John Bobbich at San Pedro. Call any of the coaches. You go online, a quick Google search, and you can figure out whether or not it's legit. If somebody comes to your door, they're up to no good. I don't care if they're selling ADT or they're selling a sports donation fantasy pack, magic carpet ride. I don't care what they're selling. It is a scam. We're all smart enough to know how to get what we want when we want to get it. We live in the modern age. I can buy a Sherman tank right now within an hour if I had the money. I could buy a pink tutu and run down Gaffey. I could buy 7 pugs in a fucking tilt-a-whirl. It's easy. I don't need someone to knock on my door and tell me how to buy something or that I need to buy something. They're doing it to case your house. They're doing it to figure out if your house is secure. They're doing it to figure out when you're home. They're doing it to figure out how they can pull one over on you. How can they part you with some of your money tax-free? And I don't begrudge the kids. I got to hand it to any kid who wants to be out after dark, 3-4 hours. And I said this to them. It's completely courteous with them. I don't begrudge any kid who actually wants to hoof it for 3-4 hours in a neighborhood where they don't know anyone, in a neighborhood where, let's be honest, and I love my neighbors, but I'm not going to say that this is a colorblind world and blah, blah, blah. Some of these kids are minorities, some of them weren't. Could you say that a minority knocking on someone's door could theoretically be received differently than a Caucasian kid? Possibly, and that's bullshit, but I'm going to speak reality. What right do these adults have to send kids, young kids, 14 years old, etc., plus kids who, God forbid something happen, but kids who are minorities and already have all that extra cultural baggage that they have to deal with that society puts on them unfairly? How scared would you be as a kid every time you knock on a door and wonder if you're going to experience racism or intimidation or what's on the other side of that door? I wouldn't knock on a bunch of people's doors I don't know. We need to take care of all of our kids, all races, all ages, all extracurricular activities, all sports, all schools. I'm not saying don't donate to a kid from a different school. And I said that to all these kids. If you knocked on any neighbor's door here and said that you go to Crenshaw High and you play football, they would hear you out and decide whether or not they wanted to give you money. But as soon as you tell them you go to Pedro, that's a lie and that's illegal. But by the way, like I said, this company's not based on a connection to any school. So you're not donating to a sport or to a school. You're donating to him. Sure, maybe he'll use the money to buy football cleats, but he's not raising money for San Pedro football or Crenshaw football or any other football. He's raising money for himself. He's raising money for the adult who will give him a percentage of that money. The little merchant is raising money at the behest of the guy in the white van. So I've been completely just lecturing here, and I apologize for that. But that's a little bit of what you guys need to know about how this scam works. If somebody comes up to you and says, hey, can I have some of your money? It's probably not legitimate. If you want to be charitable, you seek out the people you want your money to go to, and I promise you'll be able to find it. And if you can't, you find me on Bay Cities Crimewatch and say, hey, Chris, I want to donate money to X, to Y, to Z. I want to donate money to childhood cancer. I want to donate money to San Pedro football. I want to donate money to paraplegic llama rescue. I'll help you. I got nothing but time to help you spend your money in a way that actually makes moral and ethical sense and doesn't make you into a dupe. So, again, I apologize for being verbose. Hope you enjoyed the tropical ambiance. And I'll just leave you with this. Anyone that's ever been to Enchilada House on Bandini knows what I'm talking about. I'll probably go there a little bit later. That's basically me. I hope you guys have a good day. I apologize for my scratchy voice. If anyone wants more info, I can give it to them, but I'm not going to go into any details because I want this to be handled the right way. I think they're breaking multiple laws. I'll talk to the people that are experts in those fields and figure out whether they are or not. But as far as I understand it, if they're out after 7 and they're under 18, that's against child labor laws, at least after Labor Day. And last time I checked last night was way the hell after Labor Day. But the story will continue to unfold. We'll leave it at that.